Reading a political map of Africa. This map feels very familiar almost instantly. Bright colors, clear borders, recognizable country names, a single landmass surrounded by blue. This is one of the most common map types we encounter growing up. A continental political map. And because it feels familiar, we often underestimate how much information and interpretation it actually contains. Let's slow down and read it properly. First impression, Africa as a single shape. The first thing this map establishes is coherence. Africa appears as one continuous, uninterrupted landmass. Unlike Europe or Southeast Asia, there are no fragmented peninsulas or island chains dominating the composition. This visual unity matters. Cartographically, Africa is shown smaller than it truly is due to the map projection bias. But here, centered and isolated, its true scale and presence feel undeniable. Before you even read a label, the map tells us this is a continent, not a collection of fragments. Color as a primary language. Color is doing most of the work here. Each country is filled with a distinct color, greens, yellows, reds, and oranges, carefully chosen to contrast with neighbors. This is classic choropleth style political coloring, even though the colors don't represent data values. Their purpose is separation, not measurement. Color answers one question instantly. Where does this one country end and the other begin? Without color, many of these borders would be difficult to follow at this scale. Borders as the dominant feature. Notice how sharply defined the borders are. They are clean, confident lines, often straighter than natural geography would suggest. That's because many African borders were drawn during colonial periods, following lines of latitude, longitude, and administrative convenience rather than rivers or mountains. This map doesn't explain that history, but it shows it. Long straight borders in the Sahara and central regions visually contrast with more irregular coastlines and river-based boundaries elsewhere. Maps can reveal history without narrating it. Regional groupings begin to emerge. Even without labels like North Africa or Sub-Saharan Africa, the map naturally divides itself. The north is dominated by large desert-spanning countries like Algeria, Libya, and Egypt. West Africa appears as a dense mosaic of smaller states. Central Africa is visually anchored by the vast Democratic Republic of the Congo. And the east shows the vertical chain of Ethiopia down to Tanzania. The south consolidates around South Africa. These regions are not explicitly marked, but political maps allow viewers to infer structure through size, density, and adjacency. Country size and perceived importance. One subtle effect of maps like this is perceived importance through area. Large countries dominate visual attention. Algeria, DR Congo, Sudan, Angola. Smaller countries, despite cultural or economic significance, can feel visually secondary simply because they occupy less space. This is a cartographic side effect, not a judgment, but it strongly influences how people mentally rank countries. Political maps don't just show borders, they shape perception. Coastlines as anchors of familiarity. Africa's coastline is one of the most recognizable outlines in the world. On this map, the coast is clean and simplified, serving as a strong frame. It helps viewers orient themselves instantly. The Mediterranean at the top, the Atlantic to the west, the Indian Ocean to the east. Island nations like Madagascar are included but visually separated, reinforcing the continent's main mass while acknowledging its extensions. Minimal physical geography on purpose. Notice what's missing? There are no mountain ranges, no rivers, no deserts marked explicitly, no climate zones. This is deliberate. Political maps intentionally suppress physical geography so borders remain the focus. Including too many natural features would compete visually with country divisions. The result is abstraction, but useful abstraction. This map answers political questions, not environmental ones. Typography and naming conventions. Country names are centered, evenly spaced, and clearly legible. Typography is neutral, so no stylization, no hierarchy beyond size. Capitals are not emphasized, cities are absent. This reinforces the idea that the country itself is the unit of importance. In political cartography, names must feel authoritative but not expressive. Personality would introduce bias. Africa has many countries, not one story. One of the quiet dangers of continental maps is oversimplification. By coloring Africa into discrete blocks, the map risks suggesting uniformity within borders and sharp difference across them. Reality, of course, is far more complex. Ethnic, linguistic, ecological, and economic systems cross these lines constantly, but that tension is unavoidable. Maps simplify so we can think. The responsibility lies in knowing what kind of map we're looking at. How a map like this is made? Technically, this map is straightforward, but conceptually powerful. It uses international boundary datasets, simplified coastline, uniform color assignment rules, manual label placement, and print-friendly color palettes. The challenge is not data accuracy, it's visual balance. Colors must contrast without clashing, labels must fit without overlap, borders must be clear without overpowering. This is foundational cartography done well. What this map is really teaching us. Beyond Africa itself, this map teaches a broader lesson. It shows color creates clarity, border shapes narratives, simplification enables learning, and scale influences perception. It reminds us that maps are not mirrors of reality, they are models of it, and every model makes choices. Closing thought. This map doesn't tell Africa's full story. No single map ever could, but it does something essential. It gives structure to complexity, turns a vast, diverse continent into something legible at a glance, and once we can see structure, we can begin to ask better questions. That is the quiet power of political cartography. If you want a custom map developed for your custom needs, reach out to maps&locations.com and we'll help you. Thank you for watching.